In China, the area where this disease was supposedly produced or birthed was in the area where they would eat a lot of taboo substances, where they think it could have came from a bat or a rat that was not cooked sufficiently.
Wow.
So that's also based on dietary measures, and we do not consume these products in America. So we have to understand you are what you eat. So let's take that into consideration first. We are not directly, our immune system is not built the same as theirs for several reasons. One, we do not consume the same foods they consume. Now, is our foods better or worse? That's debatable. But we do not consume the same things they do. Second, this was in the area where they would burn plastic in the air. China is one of the biggest distributors for plastic. Well, not distributor, receiver of already used or operated plastic. For example, this cannot be used again. This is not recyclable. It's too thin. Your soda bottles, you need a very thick plastic. Those are the only recyclable plastics. They take it and then they sell it to China. So they burn this stuff in the air. And now all those that were dwelling within that part of China were breathing in the toxins that come from all these plastics that are actually absorbing everything we put in them, on top of what they're made up already of. So let's think about that first. Their immune systems is not like ours. All right. Now, what is a coronavirus? A coronavirus is in essence a airborne virus, meaning that if someone was to sneeze, that virus is in that sneeze. If someone was to cough, if someone was to kiss you, if someone was to, I don't really hear the CDC say anything about this, but if it's exchanged through, it doesn't necessarily have to be exchanged through liquid. It's more exchanged through air. So this is why they're not saying it is a liquid-based virus. And I'm going to explain this in a second. So you're going to see different masks that are going to be shown in the media. Now I want you to understand the difference in these masks so you can understand how to protect yourself and be aware of what these masks really are. So a specific doctor came forward and said that the most sufficient way to defend oneself against this airborne pathogen is to make sure the outside air is not coming in. So when you see in China and you see all these people wearing the standard mask, where there's air on the sides of those, that does not protect you from this virus. But what it does protect is the spreading of the virus. If that person had the virus inside of themselves, them wearing that mask is going to prevent it from kind of spreading out. Another thing about this virus is it has everything to do with getting into either your mouth or nose. So be careful what you breathe in, but you also got to be careful what you're touching, because the coronavirus can actually be on your hands. And the best way to clear this coronavirus is to deal with something that has 60% of alcohol or more. Now this has 63%. So go home and check your rubbing alcohols and make sure you have at least 60%. Get in the habit of doing this 2 to 3 times an hour, especially while we're in this weird time in America, because you touch your face. And the reason why they put this mask on is to prevent you from touching your face. So it does help, but it does not protect you from absorbing this virus. So they then had a campaign of something called 9-5. Now, this will protect you, well, this won't protect you from the liquid, meaning that it will still be absorbed into this material. All right, so this is what they suggested though on the American doctors. They said that as long as you have a N95 and you keep this in your protection area, you cannot breathe in or contract this virus. So they're telling you that it's not a liquid-based virus. So that means it's not going to be exchanged through saliva. Kissing has air, so if someone's breathing in this, so Don't get too close to people. You know, I know we're very sociable and engaging during the day, but we're gonna have to take in consideration our perimeter. A sneeze at you can travel about 6 feet. So a person can give you whatever's going on within 6 feet of you. So keep contracting your bubble. Now, I'm also going to get into what the R represents. So the R would basically be liquid approved. So you can see the difference between these two masks. This actually has this screen on it that prevents the liquid from getting into the mask, where this one doesn't. But remember, this has nothing to do with liquid. But we want to know these things, especially in the healthcare. I didn't know what I'm looking at. So this is what the surgeons in China or things like that, they're wearing these. They're wearing these liquid. 95 represents 95% of air particles in the air. It's going to protect you against 95% of the things that you're breathing in, which is sufficient enough, because they said a certain percentage of this disease has to be infused in you. So these masks are going to be helpful. And you want to make sure you get a mask that has some type of rating of like a 95 on it.
Myself and family are using to build our immunity to fight against infectious viruses such as the flu and the coronavirus. We have the spirulina here. We know that the coronavirus and flu is an RNA virus, meaning that it can be disrupted by alkalinity. The spirulina has a pH of about 8.5 to 9.5. Limes have a low pH in their natural state, but once it is ingested in the body, it does have an alkalining effect on the body. So we put 1 tablespoon of spirulina. I believe that's 2 limes. We squeeze the juice to take out the nasty taste of the spirulina. Remember, all RNA viruses can be disrupted with alkalinity because they are not DNA viruses. RNA viruses have a sophisticated way of duplicating themselves. That's how they spread fast. But I'm not alarmed. I know that I can raise my blood's pH with alkalinity, and I will be able to disrupt the virus if I am affected. You can see the spirulina. It is a green algae from the sea. One thing I want to make notice, as we prepare ourselves and our immunity, we will eat a very, very low amount of carbs and wheat or anything like salt, sugar, coffee, white flour, snacks, which cause your immunity to be impaired. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. This is my daughter Brayla. They do not like taking this, but they understand the importance of raising the alkalinity to fight against infections.
Coming against you or upon you, your body usually knows how to identify it. Right. So if there's a threat or a problem, let your body naturally put you on course and bring you where you need to go to be able to defend itself. Or you go in panic mode, which is the brain, and put something on the body that doesn't even exist. Your body would tell you if there is a threat. But if there's no threat, there's no reason to worry about it. There's no reason to manifest those thoughts, because that might be what's making you sick. The thoughts of you getting sick, not even the fact that you're sick yet. The fact that, I could get the disease and those thoughts are toxic. That is food for thought. So if they say food for thought, then your thoughts is a form of nourishment or food for your body. So we have to be careful what thoughts we put in our body. So that's how I say that our body's going to instinctually and naturally defend and protect us. But we do things to the body that the body shouldn't even have to handle at first. Right. So we just have to be careful on what thoughts are kind of being implemented in us, outside of us and inside of us.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
So you already have ordered?
Everything is interfacing with you on an electromagnetic energy wave. And when you place a thought out there, it automatically interconnects with something that will bring in that consciousness. Going back to Dr. Cottrell, who's online talking about the T virus every day, his whole channel is dedicated to it. I never even heard of this man previous to this virus coming about. And what I noticed is that he's keeping people always in this concept of the T virus. He always has a picture And be careful with this, family, because I made sure, even when I was researching about T virus, the raccoon virus of mass destruction that goes on in Chinois neck of the woods, every time I see it, he always has a picture of it. And we've got to be careful, because we also know that the energetic waves that are coming in with the 5G are interfacing with us. And when you see a visual, sometimes that's a trigger in order to make yourself susceptible to these waves coming in to bring in the very thing that you think that you want to keep away from you. I just noticed he always had pictures of it, and it looks really weird, and it always made me feel like itchy. That isn't good, because they use our visual cortex to be able to trigger certain things. Like if you look at a symbol, this works with sacred geometry. That's why you gotta be careful. Like if you look at a tetrahedron, like for healing, or you sleep under a tetrahedron, you'll notice that that shape actually helps your cells to regenerate themselves and actually sometimes your RNA will interweave with certain healing frequencies to allow for regeneration. But what's interesting with that is that I noticed with him, because he's always talking about the T virus every day, all day, and they're not messing with his channel, they're not talking about him, and it seems like he's growing. I personally think he's an agent. I think he's an agent, and I think he's promoting something. And I also think that the quote unquote vaccination that's going, that is that they've already created. They're just waiting to create the fear. They just want to make people more fearful so that you'll go in and get your handy dandy shot. That's what they do. They create the beef. They'll beef up the fear. And remember, fear also lowers your immune system. So if you're always listening to Cottrell, and all you think about daily is T virus, T virus, T virus, and you are looking at the symbol on his page every time you open it, or people's pages who have that cell looking like some sort of like foreign, like a crazy looking cell, you are actually transmitting a frequency of allotting that type of interfacing with that virus. So it's interesting, as I jump timelines, I noticed that I personally think that this man is some sort of agent that's been disseminated or allowed. He may not even be an agent by his own emission. He might be an agent by the fact that he is in cohesion to the agenda. So he's basically saying all this every day, all day. And because he's in that wave of creating fear or suspicion or anti-government, all that anti, he's literally become an agent by the nature of him being in that position. He's like, they have them all over YouTube. That's why I tell you all the time, be careful who you look at on YouTube. I'm not saying I'm thebomb.com. You don't even have to come to my channel. You could see, my channel is not that, I talk about everything, and sometimes I sidebar so much, I agitate the heck out of people. It's just what it is.